What is your favourite Halloween theme song? Do you have one?
Halloween theme song?
We've just been listening to some Marilyn Manson in the car on the way home because we were like, I played a Marilyn Manson song last night on stream.
Yeah.
And it was like a cover of This Is Halloween.
Yeah, that
and you
was
said
really
it sounded
good.
really good. But we were just listening to like how gnarly the guitar
I mean,
sounds.
how many Halloween songs are there? I mean, I'm sure there's loads. But I can't really think of many when I'm like, oh, what's that great Halloween song?
What about any of my songs from the Monsterverse? They kind of fit with
I guess their theme.
I guess like dark pop, as in that kind of genre spills into like people's Halloween.
But they're not like
playlists.
Halloween. It's not like, you know how people write Christmas songs. It's about Christmas, right?
Yeah, I don't know. You got like
Is that
Thriller?
Oh, Thriller's a banger.
Thriller's a banger,
It
right?
is.
I played along with Michael Jackson's Ghosts last night.
Oh yeah.
I've never heard that song before.
No.
But yeah, I think there's plenty of songs that you could shoehorn into the Halloween box.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My favourite one is This Is Halloween.
I really don't like Halloween.
Why?
I don't like scary things, scary movies, scary anything. I'd just rather.
I
not.
know this about you.
I'm just not my thing.
Have you noticed that it doesn't look too scary in here for Halloween this year?
No,
I kind of went with more of a I kind of went
autumn.
with more of an autumn vibe.
Yeah.
So it's kind
I
of.
feel like I'm in a Gilmore Girls backdrop.
There
right?
we go. See, that's my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Halloween isn't really my comfort zone.
No, I'm
100%.
We
of the
both
time.
don't really watch scary movies, which kind of helps, really.
Yeah.
So we're both. I mean, yeah, just not my thing.
What's the scariest shit that you've ever seen, TV or film? For me, it wasn't actually either. It was a video game when I was really young.
Okay.
Silent Hill.
Oh yeah.
I remember the figures and the characters in that. And the one thing that scares the crap out of me about Silent Hill is the fog. Whenever I see fog in real life,
You think of Silent Hill?
anxiety just is like,
I think that might have been more of a limitation of the systems at the time. They used fog to hide the draw distance, but the fog does add to it. I would say, for me, watching my brother play Resident Evil for the first time. The first Resident Evil, sitting there watching him play, and when the zombie, if you played it, at the beginning, you're in the manor.
I've watched people play that and
you're in the
other
manor
things.
and the zombie grabs your foot, and there's nothing's really happened, but there's like a body on the floor.
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
grabs your foot, and that's a proper jump scare. Yeah, jump scares in general, and I fall for them all the time. I'm really bad with jump scares.
Well, that's
that's
the aim of the jump scare, right? Catch you by surprise.
Yeah, but I'm like really susceptible to them.
There used to be, like, back in like early internet days, there used to be this email chain that would go around, and like if you clicked it, like the woman's face would pop up and it would scream. And yeah, I remember that. So a friend sending that to me when we were in school, and it scarred me for life.
Yeah.
It's pretty horrendous. I guess that, aside from like video games, I suppose like I love a kind of cinematic Halloween moment. Like The Shining, to me, isn't necessarily scary. It's just a bit of a classic and is done really. It's scary in parts for sure, but it's The Shining. But it's not like I can celebrate Halloween by watching something like that because it's a little more cinematic and it's a little bit artsy.
I tell you a movie that I remember watching when I was younger, and I didn't remember it being scary when I watched it, but after. So Jeepers Creepers, do you remember that? I don't remember it being especially scary, but I think the thing about it was there's this scene where they're like running through the fields, and I used to walk my dog across a load of fields, and it looked just like a big open field, and I used to think, this is just like in the movie.
Whenever we would walk up your parents' garden to get into the house, late, if it's dark outside, late at night.
Yeah, it was there. It was like off a field at the back.
Yeah,
yeah.
I would.
I used to walk the dog over there.
Yeah.
And I used to think, this is just like that scene.
Yeah.
And oh well.
I don't like being near any kind of cornfields. I don't think most of our generation does because of Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, that's probably one for me that. Yeah, I don't remember the movie itself being scary.
Yeah.
But I just remember that there's a moment, there's something in the field, and I think, is it like a bat thing? I can't remember, it's been so long.
It's a scarecrow. Isn't it a scarecrow man?
I thought it was
something?
a bat that flew down and grabbed people from the field. I can't remember. But I remember being like, this is just like that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, there weren't many scary films. And the thing is, as a kid, like when you used to have like a sleepover, if people would be really into the scary movies, and you'd have to go along with it and kind of like watch
Keep your
with
eyes
your
closed.
hands or like pretend you're watching, but actually you're just like having a
Not
moment.
watching. Yeah.
Yeah, not my thing either. Any scary video games that you've played? Because I remember in lockdown playing maybe 10 seconds of Phasmophobia and hating it.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of Phasmophobia for the same reasons. I've played it. It's okay. I'm just like...
It feels
not a fan.
Yeah.
Not my thing. Not my thing.
Yeah. Speaking of ghosts and moving away from like TV, movie, video games, I mean, I have one ghost story
Go on then.
that
tell us.
I'm pretty. I don't know. It freaked me out anyway. I was at our student accommodation, the very first student accommodation we ever lived in. Very, very kind of small little flat. And I was there on my own. And that didn't usually happen because we'd usually be... I think you were working in the studio with a client, right? And I was at home. And I was in the living room. And the bedroom was maybe 2 rooms away. I can't remember if I was watching something or what I was doing. But I could hear the hairdryer turn on through the walls. And I've never, like... frozen before, like in complete fear. I think because I was so aware that I was on my own, and maybe it was also because it was the first time I'd moved away from home, and I was like, holy shit, like in my brain went, there's someone in the bedroom. And I remember not leaving the living room and calling you and being like, James, there's someone in the flat, and you had to come back. And we figured out that
cheap electronics.
Either cheap electronics or I don't know, but do hairdryers just turn themselves on?
Yeah, they do if you leave them plugged in. They go, I don't know. They might do.
I don't know. It was
I was just like, why have you
freaky
brought me back
moment.
for this? Just unplug it.
Yeah, but it was like pretty creepy.
Yeah.
To me, that's my threshold level is very low.
I have quite a few stories.
Yeah.
Which I can go into. And the thing you need to understand is that I don't really believe in ghosts. I don't really like...
Categorically, you do not.
I don't think so. I just...
what do you think... How do you explain that phenomenon for people then?
I'll explain
I'm
my
not saying,
stories.
by the way, that I do.
No, I don't really say I believe in ghosts. I've experienced some very, very weird things.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they've happened. But even if the ghosts are real, I'd rather them just leave me alone. You do your thing, I'll do mine. We just crack on, right?
Yeah.
I'd just rather not know. That's my thing, right?
Okay.
So
what if they're friendly? Like Casper friendly? He just wants to make friends. He's a lovely ghost.
maybe that's what they want to do. But, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
No.
I wouldn't say... I don't want to say 100% I don't believe, but... Because I've seen some really, really, really weird stuff, which I'll go into in a minute. But I've had some really creepy things happen in some places that are, known to be haunted. And I'm just like, I don't... Look, if they're real or not, I don't care. They do their thing, let me do my thing, right? So, okay, let me get... So, Coventry City Centre.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, it was bombed during the war.
Yeah.
So the majority of the city was completely wiped down because they used to think that a lot of the buildings were factories. Mm-hmm. So when the Germans did all the bombing, they bombed a lot of the city. And so a lot of the places that I used to work were all in the city centre, which all used to be bombed and obviously built on top of. Mm-hmm. So I don't know whether that has part of this.
Yeah.
But I can tell you a few places. So I used to do sound at this place called Rosie Malone's. Rosie Malone's? I think it might have been called something else back then.
Oh, yeah.
And downstairs, they had I just mixed a few bands, maybe once a week. I can't remember what it was exactly. And I'm like, go down into this little space downstairs. And it was a proper nightclub vibe, right? So they had mirrors.
Is this the room?
on all the
I was
walls.
going to say, was this the room where they had mirrors?
They had mirrors everywhere. Like, it made the room look bigger. The room was tiny.
Surely
it made the room look
like
bigger.
For sound, that's not great.
Oh, I mean, it was a horrible little gig. But the point was, I used to go down there and do shows. And I would regularly get there before the bands I'd be setting up. And when I'm in that place, I could hear people talking in that room with me.
Yeah.
I could hear glasses clinking as if they were in the room with me. And the room was tiny, and I'm looking around, and there's mirrors everywhere, right? So I'm looking around, I'm like, there's definitely no one here. And I'd be like, that's really weird. So what I did was I just put some music on.
Would it have not been like, I guess, like the sound bouncing down from upstairs?
Probably.
Because there was a
Could have
bar
been.
upstairs,
Could have
right?
been. But it's when it's empty, like
Yeah.
upstairs, right? I come in when it's empty upstairs. I come downstairs. I can clearly hear people talking. But it's like a party talking. Like you can't quite tell what they're saying, but I can hear people talking. And I know that place has been around a long time, and
Yeah.
it's been a few different bars over the years. So I used to just put music on and drown it out. And then I'd crack on, right? So that was one place, and that was quite that's very tame story.
Yeah.
So then
I mean, yeah.
I had another place very similar.
Yeah.
I used to do some work for a students' union, which no longer exists. It used to be called Bar 54, and I'm mixing a band and
I remember you
amplifier.
used to take me there.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you do your gigs.
And
Yeah.
our amplifier died. And on the gig, I'm doing sound check and amplifier. I'm like, well, I have a spare amp up in the flat upstairs. They have different flats upstairs.
I remember, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go get a new amp. So
Oh, wait, hang on, yeah,
I walk upstairs, and as I'm walking up the stairs, I can see into the room the amps are in, which is also the same room that is full of non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, this is a students' union, so no one drinks non-alcoholic beer, especially then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these days it's a bit more common,
Yeah.
right? But back then, they were trying to shift it, and it was
Yeah.
literally full of it.
Yeah.
And I clearly saw someone stood in that room, right? So I said hello. I said, oh, anyway, I didn't hear anything. Lights were off in there, but I could see the silhouette of a person. So I walk into the room and I turn the light switch on, and there is no one in there because it's a tiny little room, and I'm like, I'm 100% certain I just saw someone standing in this room.
Right.
So I went back downstairs, and then I told the apprentice, I said, hey, can you go get the amp from the room upstairs? And I sent him to do
Send
it.
the poor apprentice.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Let them deal.
And then they
with
went and
the
got
paranormal.
it. So that's pretty tame. I thought I saw something. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was, I don't know, could have been anything. Shadow.
Can I tell you another one that I've just remembered?
Okay.
So when one of my best friends, Hannah, and I never told her this because she had to, sleep overnight in this place. And I think this is a very well-known place locally to where we are anyway. And I think from a tourist perspective, it's probably one of the nicest places you can go for like a park walk if you come to Coventry. But there's like a manor there's an abbey called Coombe Abbey. And my best friend was getting married there. And once during the night, I went up, so to go to the luge, you had to go upstairs. And they have this main staircase kind of close to the reception area you go in. And the decor is very, it's Downton Abbey. It's very dark in there just in general. Like they haven't updated many things for good reason, right? Because it's like
old.
preserving the history of the building, but you get a vibe. There's just a vibe that you can't really explain. And there was a moment in the ladies' bathroom when I came out of the store, just like wash my hands, do my hair, and felt I don't even know how to explain the feeling. Like I wasn't alone. Like I was being watched. Like, not that I wasn't wanted there.
You send there's cameras in the toilets.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm gonna have to go back and check, or not. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess sometimes you have those unexplained feelings, and then a part of me is just like, is that my own brain telling me that, or is actually there something going on here? I remember you telling me a story about when your parents took you and your brother to view a house.
Oh, yeah.
And your brother walked over the threshold and immediately freaked out.
He said, I don't want to live here.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't want to live here. I remember...
That's
I remember
freaky.
walking in and be like, oh, this is really cool. And actually talking to a friend of mine a few years later, apparently that they really struggled to sell the house. A lot of people had that weird feeling in that house. My brother walked in, and the moment he walked in, he just turned to my mum and dad and said, I do not want to live here. There's something not right. I don't want to live in this house.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, imagine your child turning to you
I was going
and
to
saying
say,
that.
as parents, you'd be like, that would scare you.
Yeah.
That would scare you.
You'd be like,
big time.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my God.
I remember going to the house and viewing it. I mean, I would have been about 6, 7. I have a pretty good memory of being there. And I remember there being a room that was just really electric. I assume it was some boiler room or something now.
What do you mean it was really electric?
I just remember walking past it and it was making lots of noises.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then the attic was I do remember the attic being a bit weird, but I don't remember. I didn't really notice anything. But my brother was adamant. He was like, pff. And actually, like I say, it's been known to be apparently haunted since.
Yeah.
So.
Another thing that jumps to mind is across the road from a pub that's not necessarily local to us, but a little way away where some of our friends work, but across the road from like a rock and roll bar.
That
it was
place.
An old record shop.
Well, it was.
And we came across like a story of it like online. I remember
it was
you
quite
sharing it
haunted.
with me.
Yeah, it's a place. It was a haunted place, and then I remember it being a CEX for a while.
Oh wow, okay.
And I remember, it was like a CEX. It wasn't a CEX. It was like a electronic exchange place.
Right.
Because I remember having a Mega Drive. My Mega Drive broke, and it started smoking. And
you took it there.
No, I went to get a new one. I remember going with my dad.
It wasn't a
to
ghost
go
then.
Get a second-hand one. Well, I remember going into that building and going upstairs and it being a bit weird, but But there's a whole story. I remember us reading the thing about it online. So I'll tell you some of the. Oh, you already know these, but I'll tell you some of the ones that I've had the really weird, the weirdest of the weird happen. So I've mentioned before, I used to get this recording studio for dirt cheap in an art gallery, and the thing with the art gallery is you get locked in there at night.
Yeah.
So you're locked in from 5 in the evening till 8 o'clock in the morning, and you got to stay in no matter what. And I got really used to staying in there, and there were a lot of weird noises. But it's just old buildings, right? They just make weird noises, and I was so used to staying in there and sleeping there, and I'd put music on while I'm sleeping to drown out all the weird noises and stuff. And I used to run sessions, and I used to basically live in that place for 2 years. I basically lived in that place. I spent hours and hours and hours sleeping on that sofa and in that room. And so, over the years of being there, I had lots of weird things happen to me, but I had weird things happen to other people. So I used to find that what would happen is people would be in the vocal booth singing, and they'd suddenly say to me, "Oh, someone just grabbed me." And there's obviously no one in there, right? Because it's an empty room. It's a vocal booth. And people used to say it to me all the time. They used to be like, we're mid vocals, and they'd suddenly scream, right? I'd be recording with someone. They'd suddenly scream, and I'd go. And I used to tell people it was the aircon. I used to just say, "Oh yeah, we got really intense aircon. It was probably just that." And they were like, "No, but it's like someone just grabbed my leg or grabbed my arm. Like I felt someone." And I was like, "Nah, it's just really powerful aircon." That's what I used to say to people.
Right.
But that happened, I would say, in the 2 years of me being there, probably 40, 50 times I had that happen.
This is the same vocal booth that I think I was like a bit nervous recording vocals with you one time. And you were like, after telling me all these stories that had happened to you, okay, right, we're going to try something new. We're going to turn the lights off and you'll feel less self-conscious. And in my mind, I was like, actually, yeah, that sounds good. And then the lights went off and I was like... But we did that. But I remember doing the vocal tape like that. But me thinking all these stories that you've said about previous. Well,
sessions. I don't know if a lot of those stories. Oh, maybe, yeah. So that happened a lot. I had people just say they were grabbed, and someone would it was like someone was grab my arm or grab my leg, and that happened a lot. And yeah, so I used to just tell them it's the aircon, and that was that. And I was just like, come on, we're in the middle of a good take here. Like, if there's a ghost there, can you just let us finish? Like, come on. So anyway. The next one, which was really strange. Well, actually, the first session that you ever came and recorded with me, we recorded something really weird. Do you remember? We recorded, and there was this noise on the recording, and it was so creepy and strange, and it sounded like a bus hitting the building, and we could play it back, and we saw it on the recording. Do you remember?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that being.
Was
a
it
weird
me and Hannah that was?
It was you and Hannah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it just ruined the take as usual. And it's probably just an error, right? A glitch, right? Yeah. So dismiss that. Okay, but this next one was strange.
Yeah.
So I'm in there with the band. I've got a band who's in. A band I work with. I manage them at the time. And we're in the room, and we haven't even started the session yet. Mm-hmm. And we have, your PC and everything, but then we also have a big rack, sort of like what you got here, right? With all the rack stuff behind, and all the lights and everything. Yeah. But nothing was turned on yet, so there were no lights. So we're just sat there talk about what we're going to record today, and suddenly one of the pieces of the kit just lights up like it's on, right? And I'm like, that's weird. The power's turned off.
Right.
I'm like, that's really strange. So I go up to it, and it functions. And I kind of turned to the others and I'm like, why is this working? I'm like, there's no power. I'm like, so I get a screwdriver and I unscrew it from the rack and I pull the whole thing out and I'm holding the plug, right? This isn't something that has a battery.
Capacitor.
No, well, there was no power before. We were just there and it suddenly lit up. So capacitors can keep power onto a device, but only for a small amount of time, right? And it was a reverb unit, and I'm literally holding this thing, holding the plug, and it is functioning. And it is not something that has a battery. It was a MIDI verb, which if you look up is like an old school, reverb, outboard reverb when you used to have them. And I'm like, why the fuck is this working? It was really, really strange. And obviously then all the band were like, oh, it could be the ghost. Your ghost is powering it. And I'm like, okay. So then one of the guys goes, if you're real to the ghost, right, give us a sign. That's what he says. He's like, give us a sign. If you're real and you're here, give us a sign. And I'm like, don't say that. I'm like, I got to stay here all night. Right? And we got to record. So anyway, check everything myself, check all the components. No issue with this PC. I literally say, okay, everyone wait here, because I'm trying everything to get the PC back on. What?
Was it filled with beans?
It was not filled with beans.
It wasn't filled with beans?
No.
Ah, okay.
So I'm like, I try everything. I go to my friend Al's, take it to his house, where he has all the PC parts. He checks it through and he's like, there is no reason why this PC shouldn't be turning on. Does all the normal checks. We try separate RAM. We try all the things you'd normally try. Anyway, bring it back. I'm like, well, session's closed, we can't work tonight, the PC ain't working. So everyone's like, okay, so everyone fucks off. I'm there all night, sleep on the sofa, wake up in the morning, before I leave I'm like, press the button, fucking turns on.
Yeah, I bet.
And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Waste of a whole night, right?
Yeah.
And then I would say the first real creepy moment that ever happened to me in that studio was I was recording this band, we were recording this band called Pint Shop Riot, and we just recorded this song, and at the end of it we were like, oh, how good would it let's get some footsteps of the band walking away, because it was this really long corridor outside.
I remember.
So I put a load of microphones out there and we wanted to get the footsteps of them walking down the corridor, walking away for the end of the end of the song, right? So awesome. So I set all the mics up, we're doing it. So we record it all. And we're all in the studio after, we're all chatting, we're like, oh yeah, no, great, sounds great. We listen back, we're like, awesome. We're all in the room, and those mics are still out in the thing, right? Because I haven't packed them down yet. But they're still being monitored live, so we can hear what those mics are doing on the outside of the room while we're inside. Bear in mind, this is a soundproofed room.
Yeah.
Right. So we're in this room, and suddenly we hear this old school telephone, like a dial. Yeah, like a dial, old school telephone, and it was ringing like it was next to the microphone. And I look across at Darren, who's one of the engineers who was working with me that night, and we look at each other and we both clock that's coming from the live mic. And we're like, that's strange, that's outside the door.
Oh my god, the call is coming from outside but inside the house.
Well, so the call is happening, but the phone is close enough to the microphone that it is ringing there, right? So we're and it's literally outside the door. It's in this big corridor, and it's I don't know, 8, 9 p.m. at night. So one of the drummer, right, he gets what we're saying, and he walks over to the door and he opens it, and the moment he opens it, it just goes dead. And we're like, that was really weird. And we didn't have it recorded because it was monitoring live, so it wasn't like I was recording live. Yeah. But everybody in the room, so that's the whole band and me and Darren, we all heard it. Right? Yeah. And we were all like, what is that? It was sounded just so old-fashioned. Yeah. A proper old-fashioned bell telephone, ringing the bell. Yeah. Anyway, so then they were like, oh, well, see you later then, we're off. And then they left, and then I was there all night.
All on your own.
With that weird phone noise. And I was like, what is that noise? That's so strange. So that was probably starting to get a bit more weird. Yeah. I think the other two were people grabbing.
And most of your experiences really revolve around the same building, which is the Herbert Art Gallery in Coventry. Yeah.
Well, see, this is the thing, because the Herbert Art Gallery is kind of the key. Because if you look it up online, there's been a lot of ghost hunts there. There's been a lot of, supposedly, ghost hunts there. There's supposedly a few ghosts that already live there, right? And all this stuff. So then the really bad one. So this is the one that I really can't explain, because either one could have been, I don't know, could have been anything. I don't know. Could have been telephone. Could have been telephone in another room that we couldn't see. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. The electronic one was weird, but then it comes to the proper strange one. So when you walk into that place, you'd walk in through a door, and then you'd have to go up this really creepy set of stairs.
Yeah,
you remember it, right?
I remember because there was some form of art installation which had speakers. So as you ascended, these choir like
it was a Coventry
voices.
song. The Coventry
song. Right, is that what it was?
There's a song,
and it would be like ha 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 as you're walking up. And as for somebody who's walking into that place at night, and it's like, okay.
And I'm just going to paint a picture for anyone who doesn't know, right? So you go, all this was all glass, right? So you go to this all glass window, all glass wall, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a door in it. You go through the door, and now you're in this like middle section where there's glass on one side, which is the main museum, which is locked.
Yeah.
So you cannot get into there, and it's just pitch black.
Yeah.
And you can see some of the museum bits in the background, but you can't really see because it's nighttime. Mm-hmm. And then you have the way you came in, which is out to it's like a courtyard, and then it's a street. Yeah. So you're not near the street. You're in a courtyard, and then you're in this like little space that's probably 4 meters long, width by maybe 8-10 meters wide, and it goes up 3 floors. So any noise you make echoes, right? So it's really reverby, and it's all like hard flooring with glass walls, right? So it's really echoey, everything you do. And then as you walk up the stairs, it's making all these noises as you're walking up. It's playing the Coventry song, which got very annoying every time you're walking up and down the stairs. But there was a lift, so sometimes take a lift. And every single person who came there used to say, these stairs, this is so creepy, these stairs. Anyway, so you go up these stairs, you go up one halfway, and you turn around, and then you go up the other way. And then as you're walking up, you can see into the museum because it's all glass, massive glass wall, ceiling. Yeah. And then you can also see out into the street the other way. Mm-hmm. But you can't really see if the lights are on inside. And the lights were motion detected. Mm-hmm. So they're off until someone walks in there, then the lights turn on. Mm-hmm. So the first time you walk in there, it's pitch black. And then you have to wait a second and then the lights turn on. So that's a little creepy in itself, right? You have to walk into a room that's pitch black, wait for the lights to turn on, then you can walk up the stairs. You don't want to walk up the stairs, the lights off. Yeah. Then when you get to the top of the stairs, there used to be, and it's very different now because I've been there recently, there used to be this massive open room, right, which was like a big open space. And I used to record amazing stuff in there. So it sounded awesome, reverby stuff. Although I did get the fire brigade turn up one day because I didn't know this. They had sensors on all the windows for break-ins, and I had a drummer in there playing, and it was making all the windows go. And the fire brigade turn up. Oh wow! And I'm like, and they were like, we have sensors that someone's breaking into the building. I can't have fire brigade or police. I can't remember. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's just me. So they changed a lot of rules with me because I basically lived in that place. Yeah. So you had this big open space, right? And then you take a left, and then there's that corridor, the one that had the telephone ringing, right? And you walk down that corridor, and that was quite a long, tall corridor, you remember it, with a big glass window so you could see out into the street. And then on the right-hand side was like walls with the rooms the studio was in. And so I remember I have a band in, and with Darren, who's one of the engineers, and, we both used to say, oh, the stairs are just always a bit creepy, aren't they? It was a bit weird. So we walk. I remember now. Okay. So we got band in, right? Finished the session basically, all gone great. And I used to. The software they had in house was Cubase, which I wasn't a fan of. So I used to bring my own PC in for Pro Tools for mixing. So what we'd do is we'd track the session, is record the band. In Cubase, because that would be with because it was a proper mixing desk. It's not like a modern way of doing it through a sound card. Proper mixing desk, we do it through there.
Yeah, I remember.
So we used to mix on the mixing desk, bring all the signal in, record individually, and then we'd export it, put it into Pro Tools, and then we'd mix it. But I'd use a studio to mix. So I basically would bring a PC because I lived 5-minute walk. We lived 5-minute walk away. Right? It was literally, we had a flat 5 minutes away. So I used to carry a PC down the road, plug it in, run my Pro Tools. In fact, it's probably the one that you're still using in here.
Probably.
Maybe. And then walk back, right? And back in those days, copying files were big. And I hadn't got a memory stick. And I needed to move the files from the Cubase PC to the Pro Tools PC. And I was like, I got my memory stick. So I said, I'll just run back to the house quick, right? You guys, as long as you're in the building, I'll just run back quick and I will go grab the files. And they're like, yeah, cool, no problem. I
remember this.
So I walk back down the long corridor, and then I go into the massive room, and then I walk into the room with the stairs, and I'm on the second floor. And I'm on the stairs and I'm just walking down the stairs thinking, I can't believe I forgot my memory stick. I got to go all the way back, pick it up and come back. It'll only take me a few minutes. I'll just get it done. I'm walking down these stairs. I walk down the first set, right? And then I turn and I walk down the second step. And like, as I said before, there's a big window where you can see into the museum. And I look in there and I see this woman in a white dress. I can picture it in my mind right now, like a long white dress, almost like a wedding dress, like a long white dress, which she had long brown hair, and she was staring right at me, and she was stood because it was like up against the mirror, but up against the glass, right? So she is literally almost face to the glass, staring at me, and I look at her, and then I look away, and I'm just because I'm thinking about my memory stick, and then I look back, and it's gone, and then it clicks what I've just seen, and I go, that's weird. And I literally legged it. I legged it down those stairs, and I legged it out that fucking door, and I got to the flat, and I think you were at the flat at the time. And I got to the flat, and I was like, what the fuck was that, right? I was like, oh boy, what was that?
You had to go back.
Well, this is the thing, right? Because then I've got a band there, and I'm like, I can't just leave them.
But you've got to go in the way you came out.
Well, this is it, because it's one way. So I then call Darren, I go, Darren, I've just seen something really strange, and I explain to him, and I go, I'm going to come back, but I need you to come to the stairs, because I am not coming in there on my own, right?
Fair.
So I meet him at the stairs.
Yeah.
We go in. There's nothing in there. I obviously have a look, right? I'm curious. I have a look. There's nothing in there.
You actually looked.
Yeah, I thought I'd have a look. I mean, why not? I mean, she was so close to the window. I would have seen her walking up normally anyway. So anyway, so I walk. So then I go back up. We tell the band, they're like, wow, that's really weird. And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, this is such a creepy place. And I'm like, yeah, I've never seen anything like that before. And I said, maybe it was just my eyes playing tricks. I don't know. Could have been anything, right? Yeah. Whatever. So, but this is where it gets weirder, right? Because then I go back, we do the session, we record it, we mix it, the band's happy, we're like, awesome, job done. Everyone goes home, and I'm there all night, right? Standard. Right, okay. So, next day, as it gets to 8 a.m. and the receptionist is in, I go to her and I go, I had a weird one last night. And I said, I saw this woman stood at the window, and she went, what did she look like? And I described what she looked like, and she turned white, the receptionist. And I said, what's wrong? I was like, what's wrong? She's like, I've seen her. And I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, so in the Meet Herbert, they have a crypt. You can go down into the crypt.
We've been in there.
We've been in the crypt.
Yeah, our friends have filmed in there.
Yeah, and you can go into this crypt. And she was telling me how she was taking a tour guide down there, and the door to that crypt is like old school. Like
the door to that crypt now is like a seal.
Yeah. Because
I guess they have to preserve it. Because
I guess so.
It's like one of those whatchamacallits on a fucking submarine. Right, and I guess it's to preserve the
freshness.
I mean, they let people in there.
Well, they let visitors in. You can go and see the crypt yourself. And she was telling me how she was taking a tour. She was doing a tour guide of visitors in there, and the only key in the building she had for that door. This is maybe before the air thing. It was a big wooden door, like old school, big thick wooden door, the original door that was there, and the key was like a novelty giant key, right? And so there was only one key to lock the door and get in and out, because it was this old key that was there.
Yeah.
And so she had the key on her to unlock it when she got there to take people down, but they don't lock it when there's people down there.
Yeah.
So she is walking these visitors down, and she lets them into the crypt, and they walk in front of her, and she walks behind. And she's walking down this corridor of the crypt. So the crypt's like a long corridor, and then you take a right, and then there's into the crypts, right? And she's walking down, and she said to me that she turned around just before she turned the corner and looked at the door and saw this woman in a long white dress with long brown hair, and she slammed the door shut and locked the door, right? With these visitors in, right?
As in the figure.
Big door, the figure locked the door, which was the big wooden door. And so she was just like, obviously like, who is that? Because she just thinks it's another member of staff. And then she said, oh, but I have the only key. Right? So she pretended like nothing happened to the guests, because there were guests in there, and she walked them back up, realised the door was actually locked, had to unlock it with the key, the only key in the building, and get back in. And so she told me this story, and I was like, oh, well, that's funny, isn't it? Like, so I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
So she turned like, I mean, the moment I said what she said, what did it look like? And I told her, I described it. She literally turned like white, and I was like, okay. So then it's all happened, right? And I'm just back in doing sessions as normal. You know, you just have to crack on. You know, you can't be dealing. It's what I mean. Like, I don't. Whether they are real or not, whether I know, I just want to
crack on and do your
I got
thing.
things to do. You know, I don't have time to be messing around with ghosts, right? I'm not a Ghostbuster.
You're not a
right?
Ghostbuster.
So I'm recording sessions and I'm carrying on, and then about I don't know, it must have been 4 or 5 months later, Darren said to me, "Hey."
Darren, for context, for
Darren
people,
is the engineer.
Is your friend?
Yeah, a friend engineer who was on the session on that day with me. He said, "Hey, you know that thing you saw?" And I was like, "Oh yeah. I sort of remember it." And he was like, "I know who it is." And I was like, "Okay." And he showed me this book. And in this book was a Lady Herbert. And to tell you that place is called the Herbert Art Gallery, and it was, I think the history is it was a gallery made, or the building was built for Lady Herbert.
Right.
And he showed me a picture of this woman in this really old fucking book. I don't know where I got it from. and it was her in the white dress with the long hair. And I was like, and he's like, "Is that what you saw?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I saw," and it was really, really weird. And so we think it was Lady Herbert, if it was real, if it was something.
The thing that strikes me about all of those, particularly that story from you, is that you are not exactly how you've just explained it. You don't, if it's real, you don't want anything to do with it because you're busy and stuff.
I had so much on at the time. I was so busy. I just didn't want to be dealing with these things.
If it were anyone else telling me that story, I'd be like, "You're full of shit." But because it's you, and these are stories.
Are you saying I don't lie?
No, it's not that. It's that you're not skeptical. You have a level of skepticism, but it's not like you're out to change anyone's minds about whether or not ghosts are real or not. You're just being like, "Look, I don't believe it. I don't not believe it. But also, this happened to me, and it's whatever." See, those kind of stories resonate a bit more with me from when they're coming from people who aren't like, "Oh no, but ghosts are real."
Yeah, I don't really have any strong feelings on whether they are or they aren't. I just saw some weird stuff, and to be honest, I was so busy. I had so many jobs at that time. I didn't really need it. But then at the same time, I think about it now, reflecting on that time, and I think, well, you know, I didn't really sleep much.
No.
I stayed in that building. I basically lived in that building.
Yeah.
Right. Let me paint a picture. Right. Sometimes I'd look at my calendar, and I couldn't sleep for 2-3 days because I had so much work on.
I remember it vividly.
I was at uni, so I would literally leave that studio at 8 a.m. Come home, have a shower, go into uni, be in uni all day, go back to the studio, be there all night. Sometimes I'd only be getting a couple hours sleep, if that, a night, and I'd do that day after day after day. So more than anything, it was probably me being crazy
and tired.
Yeah. I think that is most like. Oh, actually, I have another story of another one in that building.
Well, why don't you save it for After Dark for the Patreon pod?
Okay, we can.
Yeah, because we're getting on.
Well, I do have another one for the Patreon pod that's not related.
Well, if you want to crack on, I didn't realise you were going to be this organised this week.
I'm not organised. I'm just remembering everything. So this is quite a quick one.
Okay.
I had and again, this might be me being tired. I had a guy recording vocals in the studio.
Yeah.
And he was not doing well. He was having a bad time.
But I said he wasn't ever good?
He wasn't great. And we were doing take after take after take, and he was not nailing it, let's say. What's the opposite of not nailing it?
Smashing it.
No, that's still doing well.
The opposite of not nailing it?
Yeah, the opposite of not doing it well.
Doing it well? What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right, yeah. Yeah, so it's the opposite of smashing it.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what I'm chatting about. Okay, I don't know what I'm chatting about.
Are you tired?
Yeah.
You're not going to be seeing any
I'm thinking more like the
here.
phrase of saying, "Oh, they're smashing it." It's like the opposite of that. They're just absolutely fucking it up.
Right.
Anyway, so they're in there, they're recording. He's recording. Vocal. I've been there for hours.
Yeah.
Hours. And I'm sat in my big producer chair in the studio. They're in the vocal booth. And I'm like leaning back and I'm like, when will this end? Just like, when will this finally end? And suddenly, I'm above myself, floating.
What do you
looking
mean?
down on myself in the chair.
What do you mean?
So I'm just saying that I'm in the chair and I'm like fed up. So what I think actually happened is I fell asleep. Well, that's what I think happened. But it did not feel like I fell asleep.
Okay.
Because I saw myself when the take were like redoing the take, like going, okay, let's go again, like pressing all the buttons. And I'm like floating above myself, looking down on me, going, what a waste of time. and it wasn't for very long, but it was long enough. And I just have this memory of like...
What a waste of time, get him out!
Get him out! I used to take on some... So I had some really fun acts I used to do. Loads of really fun acts. But also, I used to take on contracts for the gallery themselves. They had artists.
Yes.
And there were some people I had in. There was people who used to be on the X Factor who didn't make it on the X Factor.
Okay.
Right, those kind of level. Yeah, right? Yeah. They'd come...
Yeah,
I had some. I mean, I had a great time. Well, in fact, one really good council job I did was Coventry Market the musical. So have a Google of that if you've not heard of that before.
You absolutely should Google that and watch that.
I recorded. I did loads of weird stuff like that. And they'd be like, "Oh, this person wants to record. Can you do it?" I basically became their because I lived there every day.
Yeah.
I basically became their residency, right?
That makes
so
sense.
they'd give me work, and I remember that session, and I remember floating above myself, looking down, and finding that really strange. And then I was back in the chair, and I was like, still going. Yeah, let's do another take. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily a paranormal experience, but more.
I think it's
a sleepy
lack of
dream.
sleep. I think lack of sleep, to be honest, can explain the majority of things.
I think lack of sleep contributes a lot to hallucinations.
I think the only one that was unexplained really was the telephone, because there was 6 of us in there. The PC was the PC, you know, things go wrong. It is what it is. Could have been a
Did Al check for beans?
No, he didn't check for beans.
There you go.
But it could have been what's it called? The solar switch when that thing.
Polarity.
No, there's it has solar rays and they can change the switch. I can't remember what it's called.
I know what you're talking about.
Could have been that, right? Could have been anything, right? So the seeing the person was really weird. In fact, especially the fact that when I spoke to the woman the next day, she knew I described the same person.
If that were me, and that had happened to me, and I would have seen that, right? If I then found somebody in common who had seen the same thing as me, I don't think I would. I think I would talk to them for a really long time about it, and be
I was tired. Bear in mind that this had happened that night, and then I slept on the sofa all night.
Oh, man.
Right? And then I'm to be honest, I want to get out of there. I've been there all night on my own, right? I go downstairs, I'm chatting to her, and I'm like, it's great, we've seen the very same person. I'm like, cool, I want to go to bed. I want to get out of here.
Last year, I did a show at her art gallery, and we obviously went back for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
It's just as I did any day.
Yeah,
I still went in for another year after that.
It doesn't creep you out.
I'm not a fan. I mean, I'd rather just not. You know, like I said, I'd rather just not know, and we just do our own thing. You know, like just you do yours, you do I do mine. Like just crack on. But so I just went in. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was weird. It was interesting being back. It was basically the same. It hadn't really changed, to be honest. It hadn't changed much. But yeah, so interesting times then. I had some interesting times.
I can't ever say that I've ever seen anything like that. And I think maybe I would be a bit like you in that I'd be like, wait, hang on, what?
I think
put it down to tiredness, but at the same time, I'm good. I don't want or need to experience any of that.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
So if you're a ghost hunter, go to the Herb Art Gallery. And there's a second staircase, and apparently that's the haunted one, not the one I'm in. The second one's the one that the ghost people came in. Apparently there's a guy who walks up and down it. Apparently. I mean, you could see that one from the other place where we were, because it was all glass, right?
Yeah.
So I could see that second staircase. But that one wasn't even the haunted one. So, I don't know. I don't know. So that's my really creepy ones, and they're all based in the same place mainly.
Yeah, I mean,
and all those places I was talking about, city centre.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking within half a mile of each other.
I'm sure if you talk to more people who have worked there over the years, more stories may spill out.
Yeah,
because it's not. Maybe was the receptionist also not getting enough sleep?
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. But it's a good note to end on. And I feel like if you want a good ghost story, maybe look up Lady Herbert. Or I don't know.
Well, I don't even know if it's a known ghost story.
Yeah.
Like, I've not, you know, but I've not really told many people. I mean, I just thought I was being crazy.
But this is what I'm saying. Maybe other people have experienced what you've experienced.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, happy Halloween, everybody. Hope that leaves you with some not so creepy vibes, and hopefully you can actually sleep tonight. And yeah, if you want to check out our bonus pod After Dark, then come on over and join us on Patreon, and we'll see you over there.